Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and it's finally here. One of the months that we always wait for. Says Stamp STAMPtember. And wait till you see everything in this release if you haven't already. So make sure you join the blog party that's going on. So the stamp set that I'm going to be working with is called Handcrafted with Love, and I thought it was perfect. And you name the craft, and it is here. So when I first saw this, I thought of tags. Whenever we give a gift and it's handmade, we always need that tag. And I think it is great for the knitters and the crocheters because it even has care instruction icons and everything else that we can create for these tags. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create 5 general tags, and you're actually going to be able to see a production line when it comes to these tags. So the first thing I did was die cut all of my tags, and I like to do double layer tags. So if I cut one, I'm cutting 2 of them. So the first step that I'm going to do is I grabbed my Desiree K white pigment ink, and I'm going to stamp. In this case, it's the sentiment, but what this tag is going to be. So it's either home baked, hand knit, hand stitched, hand crafted, and then hand sewn. Those are going to be stamped mainly on the bottom, but some are going to be stamped in the center, and some are going to be stamped along the long side of the tag. So I'm just picking and choosing where I want to put how this tag is going to be identified, or basically the sentiment. I am going to be using my, Brutus Monroe Alabaster White Fine Detail Embossing Powder. So I do like to use a white pigment ink when I'm going to use white embossing powder. I do also use Versamark, but that kind of is my go-to combination because just in case I miss a spot, at least there's white pigment ink underneath. In my mind, it works. So this one I'm going to stamp in the center of that tag. And again, I'm doing all of the stamping. I'm putting on the embossing powder, and then I'm setting them aside. And then all at once, when my heat gun is good and hot, I will then heat set all of them at once. This way I'm not constantly turning that on and off, and I'm not breaking a stride. So we are definitely going to have a production line going on here. Once they have cooled and they're all heat set, I'm then going to pull these adorable icons. So for the home baked, I've grabbed the little oven because it's too cute. And I'm also going to be using one of the very small hearts in this stamp set as well, just to accent and fill in the areas. So I'm going to do an all over stamping on each of these tags. So first up is the hand stitched. This will be perfect for my sister. She does crafts, but the only thing she will do is cross stitch. She will not get into anything else. So I know this tag will be perfect for her. I have the feeling she'll be asking me to make lots of these for her. So after I stamp the image, I'm going to put my embossing powder on, and then I will fill in with the small heart just to fill in any gaps that I may have, which is what I'm reaching for now. And then after that's filled in, then I'll cover that with the embossing powder, and now I'm back into the stride once they are covered. I did choose a Desert Storm cardstock for these because I was also curious about something, and you'll see in a minute. Next up is hand sewn. So for that one, I had to grab that most adorable needle and thread. I'm stamping that all around, and again with the heart, so that we can have just those little gaps filled in as well. I didn't want to overpower with the image, but I just wanted to have enough. The next up is home baked, and the oven is absolutely precious. They even have a little washing machine. This stamp set is just perfect. It has a line that says made by, it has a created by, it has pens and brushes, it has a date line so that you can date whatever you make. They really had everything. When they put this together, they thought of everything. That's what I was trying to say. You have your hand knit, and of course the ball with the knitting needles is just too cute. So I'm going to stamp that around and then again fill in with the hearts. And then for the handcrafted, I figured, you know what, we're just going to cover everything. So for the handcrafted, I use the palette, the paint palette with the brush, the scissors, the marker, or the pen, however you want to say that, and then just the brush alone. So lots of choices going on here. So when it comes to all of these images, I actually set them up on a round acrylic block. I'm going to be able to stamp them all at once. That one got a little bit carried away there. And then I'll just be able to turn my acrylic block and re-stamp them, and then I have a perfect type pattern going through. And then finally with the heart again, just to fill in any gaps that I may have. Now you don't have to make tags with this stamp. This would be a perfect set to make that handmade card to somebody maybe who is a card maker themselves. And they would probably really enjoy it. So then I grabbed the huge not huge, okay, the big round solid circle that says handcrafted, and I did use my Versamark ink with that. I wanted to show you that, yes, I usually grab my white pigment ink when I use my white embossing powder, but you can certainly use your Versamark ink by all means, and you can see you get a beautiful coverage of the image, nice and solid, and the embossing powder melts beautifully. So that's the second tag. So you can see I have the first tag, and then I have the second. The second's like the backing. So I grabbed my Distress Oxides in Bundle Sage, Tumbled Glass, Scattered Straw, and Wild Honey. I wanted to see what they looked like. I've seen everybody else stamp these on, craft cardstock. I wanted to see how they would look if they were blended. I am using my makeup brushes for that, and I make sure that it's heavier on the bottom, and then I'm just going lighter as we get to the top. So I'm creating a variegated look. I'm only using one of my makeup brushes, and you can see I just clean it off on my damp chamois just to clean it. And again, it's damp, it's not soaked. Either that or I will use a damp baby wipe to clean them as well. And you can see I'm not getting any transfer of the color coming through. My favorite does have to be the Tumbled Glass. I love the way that looks. I love all the colors, but I do like the way that looks on the Desert Storm cardstock. I'm going to come in with a dry cloth and just wipe along the top. I get carried away. I bend the cardstock. Be gentle. Just to remove the excess ink from the top of my embossing powder. And you can see it wipes away really nice and they become white again. So with the back tag, I'm going to score 1 inch from the top of the tag. So I'll turn that around so that it's showing on the back, but I do like to just score the one side so that when you flip up the front, it's going to bend just a little bit. But I do like to make 2-layer tags because then you can write your note inside instead of, if you just wanted to, you could put just to and from, but I like to write a little note and I need room. So I always do make double tags. Once I have these glued together, now it's time to make our tassels coming off the top. I love making long tassels off of my tags. I think it's an awesome embellishment for them. So I'm just using a white organza ribbon with a piece of, I think it's hemp cord or twine. I'm just layering those together, folding them in half, and then poking them through the hole of the tag, and then pulling through the opening of the ribbons, and then just snipping where the fold is, so that they go free. Once I have these all threaded, I will then come back with my scissors and just cut the ribbon on an angle so that I don't have that straight edge, and that just helps to give it a little bit of interest on the end of the ribbon as well. I don't trim them. I do like them long and tassely. It's a technical word, right? Right. I do hope you enjoyed this project using one of the stamp sets during the month of September for Simon Says Stamp and their awesome Stamptember month celebration. So please make sure you go check out this release. It is filled with so many different items. You are sure to be cautious. Hide the wallet. All the products that I used will be linked down below, and if you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you so much for taking the time, just spending a little bit of time with me today watching my video. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell because you always want to know what's coming up next. I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone is shopping well, but most of all, always remember what's most important. Always be creative.